Hello my dear students, this is Alok sir, and this chapter is based on force and pressure. I will explain force and effect of force in this part of the video. Hope you all are fine and doing study honestly. Force is what? See, when an object is in motion from rest, of application of force is required there. I have drawn diagram of two balls. One is at rest, and when force is applied on that object, means when there is application of force on that ball, it start moving. Means what brings the object from rest to motion? Definitely it is the force. So consider some situation here where we push and pull a table on the ground to open a mirror, to move a football from one place to another, to lift an object from the ground. In all the situations, some kind of external agency is involved and its effect can be noticed or felt quite easily. So it follows that we need an external force to move an object from its rest position or to stop a moving body. So depending on this situation, considering this situation, we have got the definition of force. Force is a pull or push which comes into play when there is an interaction of one object with another object. Whenever there is interaction between two objects, some force acts between them, and when the interaction ceases, it means when the application of force is stopped, the force between them no longer exists. Means that when we kick a ball in the ground, definitely it covers certain distance and then after it stops. Means the effect of force is ceases, the interaction is ceases, that's why it stops. Means when the interaction is ceases, when the application of force is ended, then effect of force no longer exists. This is the meaning. So force is what? Force is an external agency which brings an object from rest to motion or from motion to its rest state. This is the definition of force. Effect of force. There are some notable effects of force. First is change in the state of motion. Force can bring an object from rest to motion or from motion to rest. That is, I have drawn three diagrams here. This is a ball which is at rest, and when force is applied on that object, the object comes into motion. But when the force is applied on the object in different direction, the object will come at rest. Means force is that quantity which bring an object from rest to motion or motion to rest, depending its direction of application. Force can change the state of motion, that is either the speed of motion or direction of motion, or both is described as change in the state of motion. Means force can change the speed of the object or direction of the object. See in the next diagram, force is applied on an object and then this is the direction of motion. But when force is applied in different direction, its direction will be changed. So force can change the speed of motion as well as direction of motion. So we can say that if the applied force act on a body along the direction of motion, the speed of the body will increase. If direction of force on the body is opposite to the direction of motion, the speed will decrease. If the force act an angle to the direction of motion, it can change the speed as well as direction of motion. Now see these three situations. When force is applied, its speed changes along the direction of motion. When force applied along the direction of motion, its speed increases. When force is applied opposite to the direction of motion, when force is applied opposite to the direction of motion, its speed decreases. And when force is applied or act an angle of direction of motion, that is, its direction of motion is changed. So three situations may arise there. But sometime one more important point is that, but sometime force may not change the state of rest or motion of the body when the mass of the body is greater than applied force. Means when we apply a force on the object which have larger mass, it cannot change the state of motion, but it only tends to do so. Means where mass is larger, small force cannot bring the object into moving state. This is the situation. Second effect is that change in the size or shape of the object. I have drawn three diagrams here. A spherical balloon, when pressed from both sides, its shape changes. Means this experience also we can observe in our homes. When a soft pillow is gently pressed from both sides, its shape changes. Similarly, when a balloon and when its balloon is taken and it is gently pressed from both sides, its shape changes. Also a rubber band, take a rubber band and stretch it from both sides, its shape will be changes. It means that force can change the size or shape of the object. So the notable effect of force are, it make an object move from rest, change the direction, change the speed of a moving object, change the direction of a moving object, bring a change in the size or shape of the object, cause two or more or all these effects. Either two effects, more effects, or all the effects. These are the notable effects of the force. Now see what factors associated with the magnitude of force needed. For this explanation, I have taken two diagrams. Understand the diagram first. This is an object having smaller mass. I have denoted it by small m, and this is the second object which have larger mass. I have denoted mass of that object with capital M. So consider two objects having larger mass and smaller mass. Capital M denotes larger mass, small m denotes smaller mass. See what happens when the same force is applied on both, that is when force F is applied, an object having mass small m, it moves from its position. Means when force F is applied on the object having smaller mass, this force brings the object into motion. But applying the same force F on the object, it does not move. And when the same force is applied on the object having larger mass, that is capital M, it does not move. It means that when mass of object is larger, large force needed to move it. When mass of the object is larger, large force needed to move it. This means that mass is the factor which decides the magnitude of the force. When mass is larger, large force is required. When mass is smaller, a small force is required. See the second factor. Consider an object. Second situation is that consider an object is moving with certain velocity, and if we need to increase its velocity, we must apply some amount of force on that object. The larger is the force, the larger will be its speed. See the situation. I have drawn three diagrams here. If a ball is moving with certain velocity, and when a force is applied along its direction of motion, its velocity increases. And if we need to increase its velocity to large amount, we need to apply a large force. Means larger will be the force, larger will be the change in velocity. So thus from the above both situations, we conclude that mass of an object and the value of the change in its speed are important parameters that determines the force. Means to determine the force, we must know mass and change in its speed. So these two are important parameters that determines the force. The parameters are mass of the object and change in the speed of the object. Now next part is force has both magnitude and direction. First see what is the magnitude. Magnitude means having some numerical value, and force is always expressed with some numerical value, that is sometimes 5 Newton, 20 Newton. So this 5, 20, this numeral part is called magnitude, and this is called unit. This numerical amount is called magnitude, and it has its specific direction. Force is always applied in a specific direction, that is force is applied always in certain direction, either it is upward, downward, straightward. So force has always its magnitude and direction. And most important, if any one changes, effect of force will be changed. That is, if direction is changed, effect of force change. If magnitude is changed, effect of force will be changed. So force has both magnitude and direction. Magnitude means what? Its numerical value. So this is the end of the video. In next part I will bring balanced and unbalanced force and types of force. Till then, study honestly and stay tuned.